Hey, so a few weeks ago, I had the opportunity to interview Lecrae, and the interview was great, but everything went wrong. When I went to download the video did not exist, and the first 5 minutes of the audio was completely gone. So I've salvaged the audio except for those first 5 minutes, and I did manage to get a transcript of the entire conversation. So if you're wondering why this interview just has video clips and pictures, this is why. It was still a good interview. I have the entire interview laid out Q&A format on Rapzilla.com. But for the purposes of this video, I just wanted to read one of the questions that you won't get to hear. I asked him about his statements on retiring from touring, and does that mean, what does that mean for shows and festivals and all of that? And here's what he said. Oh no, I'm positive, positive. I'm just not a spring chicken. My youngest son is getting pretty serious about football. Oldest son is graduating from high school. It's just like, you get so much time. So just trying to be a little more consistent. And then I said, that doesn't rule out one-off shows and festivals and stuff, right? Basically just long stretches of time. And he said, yes, that's where you miss stuff. It's like a one-off. It's usually on a weekend, or it's like you're just gone. So for me, it's like I got to scale that back. So anyway, without further ado, here is the rest of the audio interview with Lecrae, and like I said, you can read the entire thing on Rapzilla. Speaking of this tour, you've already completed the Africa leg of the tour. So I know in the past you've spoken about seeing Christians in action kind of overseas, away from like the evangelical norm that we're accustomed to. And
Yeah.
that's definitely inspiring, definitely puts the battery in your back. So
Mhm.
can you describe this worship experience through Africa? And what are the conversations with the people like there as opposed to like doing something here?
Yeah, man. I mean, number one is I think there's just, sometimes I think we have an idea that the way we see the world is the way to see the world. And
Yeah.
and it just gets challenged. I sat there with a bunch of Christians in Kenya, and I just said, like, what are the things you struggle with Americans, and like what is your perspective of us? And they were just like, man, you all really feel like you know everything. Like there's nothing you can learn from us. Like there's probably not a pastor or author that's from, the continent that you guys read or pay attention to. And I was like, that's fair. The other thing I think that was super encouraging is that they've dealt some of those countries are like only 30 years away from genocide or something crazy like that.
Yeah.
So they dealt with like very, very serious issues, and their faith is very strong in the midst of it. So they're just not flailing over some of the smaller things that I think would bother us. And then lastly, I'd say is that there's no marriage of politics and Bible for them. It's kind of like
Yeah.
you may vote, but or be involved, but there's not like, hey, this is the biblical party and this is the unbiblical party. It's just like, no, there's Bible and then there's politics, and you learn your Bible and go be civic minded.
Yeah. Yeah. I got you. Now, what about in terms of how they receive the music or even interact with you when you're performing?
Again, I think there's just a different level of appreciation. I don't know why that is. I got assumptions or guesses. I think maybe because we're the factory that makes it, we get
Yeah.
over it quicker. We're just like, all right, next, next. All right, I heard the Tory Deshaun album. Where's the Klesso album? Okay, I heard the Klesso album. Where's this album?
Yeah.
And for them, they're like, I'm still chewing on this. This is
Yeah.
really good, and I still appreciate this. So for them, it's just a deeper appreciation of the music than I see than in the States.
Yeah. And, I'm guilty of it too. I'm sure you're guilty of it too, being at the label. You're just getting music passed in front of you all the time. You're just like, check, next, check. Did
Yeah,
you hear Lecrae's album yet? No, it took me like 3 weeks to finally like listen to your album by the time I was done catching up, on everything else.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So there's definitely a difference there. they knew lyrics to the new album that I didn't. I was like, whoa, what the heck? Y'all know that? This song just came out. And I'm like, y'all have really just been sitting with this. So
Yeah.
it's crazy.
Yeah, that's cool. So, you are incredibly far, and I would say deservedly so, removed from Lecrae is just that Christian rapper by your industry peers, right? You have
Yeah.
Kendrick. I wonder what Lecrae would do. You've gotten love from so many artists outside of this very small sphere that we're in. And,
Mm.
years ago you had the feature with, Big Crit. Now it's T.I., Killer Mike. I don't expect you to name drop, but what do these celebrities or industry people like say to you? Like, do they actually reach out to you because they're sitting there and saying, I wonder what Lecrae would do?
They do. Um, it's interesting. I think there's a misnomer that you know, I won't have time for them or something along or like it's a weird thing. Now, early on, they used to reach out all the time. Now I find myself reaching out more. Like if I catch wind of something, like you'll hear stuff, industry inside stuff, or you'll hear about someone's mom or sister or cousin, or they're going through something,
Yeah.
and I'll just reach out, and then they'll be like, "Oh my gosh, bro, thank you. I got so many questions." I did very, very prominent um artist, you know, is currently like wrestling with faith and Jesus, and it was like getting a lot of attention. And so I just reached out and was like, "Hey, I don't know how much of this is true, but is there if there's anything I can do, I just want to help." And it was like, "Yes." And then back and forth and give me books and give me podcasts and help me. What do I do about this? What do you think about this? And I think those are some of the moments that happen behind the scenes. But mostly it's kind of like there's just an assumption, like, he's not gonna wanna, he don't have time for my little issues. So I tend to reach out more nowadays.
Right. Okay. Okay. That's dope. And then how do you, I guess, how do you make people feel at ease? And even for yourself, when these conversations happen, it's like there's no expectation of, oh, now we got to do a song together, or
Oh
now we
yeah.
got to do a show together.
Yeah.
Like, how do you keep that? How do you find that balance?
Everybody's different. So some people immediately go there. Some people immediately go to, you know, man, we got to work on something. And I'm like, no, we don't. We don't. Like you want to grow, you want to learn, and let's focus on that. There was you know, I was out on the West Coast, and I don't think he cares. He's not like a big name artist, but I mean, he was pretty big on the West Coast. Um, and he went to prison, and I just started sending him messages, and talking to him. And when he got out of prison, I kept up with him, and he was like, "Man, we got to do a record now, man, because of this." And I was like, "No, we don't. Like, I don't want you to feel that pressure. Like, you
Yeah.
wanted help, you wanted wisdom. It's all good. You know what I'm saying?" So there's certain people that's like the only person that I wish I would have been more intentional with, and a song would have done probably wonders for my career, I'm sure, is with Juice World. When he reached out, um, I think I just didn't at the time, I just didn't steward that well. And I think him passing away made me say, I gotta do a better job. You know what I'm saying? Of just like stewarding these relationships a little bit better.
And was it, and you don't have to answer if you don't want, but was it a reach out in terms of like, hey, I think you're dope, or is it one of those situations where he's like, hey, I want to pick your brain about life or whatever?
Yeah, it was one of those like, man, my mom, like, he was telling me his mom was a big fan and put him on my music, and he appreciates me, and he's like, man, it's a lot out here. And I was like, I just gave him some words like, yeah, it is a lot, bro. Like I was trying not to be too pushy, but just like, yeah, man, God is definitely always available. And if you ever want to talk about that stuff, I'm here, bro. And I kind of left it at that. And for me, it's like, I think sometimes you got to run it back and be like, yo, just checking in, seeing how you doing, bro. Like, because you just never know, man. You just never know.
Yeah. Yeah. Tragic. All right. So I worded this kind of funny, but so every time you breathe secular air, people in the comments seem to come for you. So then
Yeah.
you'll have your typical defenders. Well, Jesus ate with sinners, so Lecrae can do this. So I kind of want to ask you, have you seen this tangible impact from these collaborations with like a T.I. or a Killer Mike, like testimonies or come to Jesus moments from people who listened to those artists and then now they discovered you through that collab?
All the time.
Because I think that's the part that people miss. He's eating, with the sinners, but then where's the fruit? So
Yeah.
where's the fruit?
Oh my gosh. All the time. So it's funny. So I mean, I could name a million different episodes of this happening, but the most recent one is funny because we're shooting a headphones video and Tip has a comedy show that he's got to go to after the shoot. So I said, yo, I'm gonna tag along with you. And he was like, all right, man, it's gonna be kind of vile and da da da. And I
Yeah,
was
yeah,
like, well, really, he didn't care, but the people with him were saying that to me. And I was like, cool. I mean, it's not no big deal. So I roll up in there and just walking through the door. I mean, this is the trap. I mean, and then
yeah,
it's, bro, what's up, bro? Dog, you don't understand. They pulling me to the side. Man, that song with you and Ty Dolla Sign, dog. You don't understand. That got me through, bro. Bro, I'm trying to tell you, I didn't even know who you was, bro, till I heard that song. And then I start going down the rabbit hole and da 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 da. And I'm like, okay, over and over again. And it had been a minute since I had really been in the trenches like this. So then we
yeah,
get in the comedy club, and of course, because I'm in the room, people want to make jokes and Christian jokes and stuff like that. But one of the comedians who actually was kind of like, it was like, was he jabbing? I couldn't tell, but when he got off the stage, he was just like, he came up to me and he was like, nah, but for real, bro, like I found out about you. You had did a song with Big Crit. And man, like, I just appreciate your stance and where you stand. And we exchanged numbers and we got to talking and come to find out he had been really church hurt. And so, I was able to walk with him through some of that. So all that to say, like, it happens so much to where that's the only exposure they've gotten of me. They haven't heard Church Close One or any of that. They've only
yeah,
heard those collabs. And then that took them down a rabbit hole.
yeah. And I would imagine more of that happens than now someone goes and does a deep dive into T.I. and it's like, oh, I'm out of here.
Right.
Yeah,
Right. I'm pretty sure you already know what T.I. is about. You know what I mean? I'm pretty sure if you have heard me with him, you already know. Um, and again, to me, I look at it like a conversation, not a pulpit. Some songs are me preaching for sure, but generally those songs are an opportunity for me to have a conversation with people and then let the world eavesdrop on the convo.
yeah, yeah. I got you.
Yeah.
All right. So you have the blessing and a curse of a large platform that takes a lot of vocal stances on a variety of things. Obviously, the Charlie Kirk assassination was one of the main things that happened, and I know you addressed that on your podcast. So my question for that is, how and why do you do it? And when you decide, hey, I'm gonna say something, like, are you battling anxiety and doubt and frankly that fear of reaction? Like, all right, here we go, and you press post and everything floods in.
It's a yes and no. It's a yes from the standpoint of like, I do hate the fact that people expect someone to have something to say every time.
Yeah,
It's like, what do you say something? What do you got to say? What do you got to say? I hate that pressure. Like you must speak on this as if there's not 30 million voices
yeah,
speaking about something. So I don't like that. And then the thing that probably gives me the most anxiety is the visceral, I don't like my motives assumed. So I think that's the part that bothers me the most, where it's
yeah,
like, golly, your motives are just always assumed. And if I'm honest, it's not because I'm afraid that people won't like me. Um, it's more so I'm afraid that, I will experience the darkness that I felt in 2016. It's almost like I'm
yeah,
scared of a relapse. And that's the real fear is I didn't know better in 2016 to not read all the comments and argue with people and have conversations. And it just weighed my brain down. And I think the fear I get into is like, oh shoot, it's happening again. And it's like, no, just chill out. You actually have control. You don't have to respond to everything or read everything. And so that's the fear. But in terms of I don't feel pressure to have to speak on everything. I just do because some people genuinely trust my voice and my perspective. So I want to do a good job. And like if you really trust me and would like to hear my perspective, um, I don't mind giving it to you. I may not be right all the time,
Yeah.
but I'm trying to do the best I can.
Yeah, and I think people forget that every good leader kind of has a leader that they look up to too. So
Hmm.
like when things happen immediately, you might be trying to like look to somebody and wait for someone else to post, right? And everyone's coming for you and you're like, "Wait, but I need my mentor. I need like my guide to
For
kind of
sure.
like
For
let me
sure. For
know.
sure.
We're not allowed to be human."
Yeah, bro. You nailed it. For sure. For sure.
Lecrae, man, thank you. I
Yeah.
appreciate you. Um, I guess any last words for the people at Rapzilla? Hopefully it's not 5 years before
I
the last
know.
time we speak to you again.
Man, all that to say is I know every audience has different perspectives on who I am and what I represent. And I just want to know everybody out there in Rapzilla land, like I love you. I appreciate you. I'm human. And yeah, there's no ulterior motives or secret societies or anything like that, man. It's just Jesus and that's it. So
All right, bro. I appreciate you. Thank you so
yeah.
much.
Love, bro.
All
Much
right,
love.
man. Talk to you later.